Beyond the entrance was the interior of a sacred temple. Similar to the high priestess Roxana, a male figure was sitting on an unadorned throne between two large pillars. He wore 3 robes. An outer red robe covered a long-sleeved white robe that covered the innermost blue robe that ranged from his chin to his ankles. He wore a 3-tiered gold crown and held the triple scepter called the papal cross in his left hand. His right hand was held up in religious blessing of 2 fingers pointing towards the heaven and 2 towards earth. At his feet lay 2 crossed keys centered between 2 acolytes. Ina Iekia whispered to me the meaning of what I was seeing. This person is known as the Hierophant, or the Pope in the Roman Catholic tradition. He sits between the pillars of law and liberty. He is the teacher of wisdom and the counterpart to the High Priestess Roxana. His scepter signifies his religious status, with each of the horizontal bars representing one of the Holy Trinity of Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. The 3 tiers of his crown symbolizes the 3 worlds that he rules: the conscious, the subconscious, and the superconscious. The keys at his feet represent the balance between conscious and subconscious minds, although some believe they are the keys to heaven. Only he can unlock the mysteries in order to teach the followers at his feet so they can fulfill their appointed roles. After dismissing the 2 devotees, he called out for us to join him. Our footsteps echoed on the stone floor in the great hall as we walked up the center aisle. He then rested his scepter on an armrest, removed his crown, and laid it on the seat of his throne. He introduced himself as Abdiel, a servant of God, and asked us to sit with him. He came down off the dais and sat on the steps while we sat in the front pew. "It's wonderful to see you again, Inayekia. I could tell someone was coming by the hymns the flowers were singing. They always sing your favorite, but tell me, how may I help you today?" Inayekia blushed a little at the small favor of being remembered by the pontiff. "Well," she said, "perhaps we both need a little refresher talk from you. Sometimes a small teaching of traditional values and beliefs can go a long way." He looked at me, and then at her. "That's quite a request. I don't get many of those." He ran his hands through his white hair, scratched his cheek, and then rested his chin on his palm, and thought for a bit. "Well," he said, "let's start with a general idea, and then get to what tradition looks like at the family level. In short, when it comes to traditions, it's not about right and wrong. It's about the knowledge of the past along with the moral and ethical laws inherited from your family. It's about the spiritual traditions of your ancestors. It's a way of identifying with others and a way of thinking that may prompt further learning. These are important to ensure that everyone follows the rules and laws, thus ensuring unity, continuity, and agreed-upon morals or values. It's a way of preserving your heritage. Family traditions are vital for the well-being and health of every family. These are the customs and beliefs passed from generation to generation that brings a sense of comfort and belonging by bringing families together to connect. Things like holiday rituals, special foods, sayings or expressions, heirlooms or songs. People take these in and it becomes part of their identity because it is how they are raised. As author Alex Haley once stated, "In every conceivable manner, the family is a link to our past, a bridge to our future." He paused, fingers resting lightly on his lips to think again. "I think it's best to practice an established set of values and beliefs to use as a stepping stone before making your own variations. Start by learning the fundamental principles in a structured way from a trusted source like your parents and their siblings. Perhaps your place of worship. Many times the story starts with, "Mom always made it this way," or "Dad showed me how to do it that way." Other times it may start with, "When I was young, my aunt." These are the familiar traditions to make adjustments in order to suit your situation. You see, traditions need not be complicated or attached to a holiday, although many of them are. I think simple is best, like saying a blessing before a meal or the order of holiday celebrations. Does your family have a favorite proverb like, "Variety is the spice of life," or "Patience is a virtue"? What is it that your parents always seem to say in a certain situation? These help weave the family fabric and make memories. He thought for another moment and then continued. Sometimes, just sometimes, the division of work within the family is a cultural tradition. Who does the yard work and who cleans the house? Who decorates the home for the holidays indoors and who does the outside? Do you take my meaning? And then there are the stories handed down from one generation to another. Do you have a certain day or time set aside for family to tell them? This is a good way to remember the ancestors, like, "I remember when grandfather did," and "I remember the food grandmother served at," or "This is how your parents met," or "Our family came from this country and that is why we..." Do you see? There are many ways to weave traditions into the family lore and perhaps restore some. Sometimes as we age we forget these small acts of reverence and neglect them altogether. Sometimes they are the best part of the memories we cherish. He momentarily drifted off into his own memories. Well, so ends my spiel for you today," he said with a shrug and a small smile. "I hope you find it worth your time to contemplate on these things. They are mighty and important subjects that affect everyday life." He sighed deeply as if warned by long-lost memories of his own youth. Then he pressed his hands on his knees to stand. "Well, thank you so very much for visiting me today. Remember my lessons about adhering to family rituals and traditions. My blessing to you is the everlasting tradition of love from your Creator and your ancestors." The way to the next set of moon stairs are to the right and through that arch. My moon has a ring of carnelian for motivation, creativity, and to dispel any apathy that may creep in. My passion flowers will help you to open up to the passions of your heart. I wish you a safe journey. We thanked him for his profound wisdom on such massive subjects, rose from our seats, and turned to the right. There, up to now unnoticed, stood a stone arch, with passion flowers etched into the surface that reached up to the carved head of a bull, complete with a gold nose ring. A bright, though suffused light came through the stairs, and the live passion flowers peeked around the arch to welcome us. As we started up the stairs, the flowers, in unison, were excitingly dancing and waving their leaves. They started to tell us how they were named by priests to teach the story of the life and death of Master Yeshua Ben Joseph. His crucifixion is known in the biblical story as the Passion of Christ, they said. We have 3 purple stigmas that they used to represent his outstretched arms while he was on the cross. Our 5 anthers symbolize the 5 sacred wounds he suffered. Our sharp and protruding filaments resemble the crown of thorns he wore. Our 10 petals and sepals represent the 10 apostles who did not betray him. We hope this does not bring sad thoughts to you. It was what they taught, not why we were created. We were created to bring joy and beauty into your world. We only last a single day in full bloom, so we're thrilled that you are here to witness our beautiful blossoms. Let us now sing the songs of the ages to lighten your step and pass the time through to the next gatekeeper. As they sang, I was lulled by some of the most beautiful songs I have ever heard, as my heart and feet quickly flew over the carnelian-ringed moons to the next landing.